Hello, gents. Alfred here, and hope you guys been good. Yeah, and just a reminder today. I want to speak or just remind you guys that it's just basically about your masculinity, right? Just reminder that masculinity is not going anywhere, right? Masculinity has been there, right? It's going to be there, and it will always be there. Masculinity, the reason it's not going anywhere, right? So don't bother about all these talks about toxic masculinity and all that. Masculinity is not crucial for a man. No, the reason masculinity is very important for any man to actually cultivate masculinity, right? It's because it's the center of a man's essence, right? Just as femininity, a feminine woman or a lady, her essence or her being is centered or is driven by her feminine essence, right? So a woman is really driven by feminine essence. Now, of course, because of all these cultural changes and all mayhaps in the mayhaps in the world, that things that happened here and there, of course, we have been confused. Now we're having men who are feminine, and then we're having women who are trying to be masculine. So it's a whole lot of confusion. But I'm here to set the matter straight. Masculine men, since in this channel I speak mostly to men, right? Trying to cultivate that masculinity and improve in whatever situation they want, that be health, mentally, and all that, right? But today I'm gonna really touch on your masculinity, why, and you should actually be cultivating that masculine identity, the masculine frame, because it's the essence, it's you, right? And one thing about masculinity, right, when you start cultivating, it grows, right? So basically what I'm saying is that it's your identity, it's the unique you. Your masculine identity or your masculine frame, or just the being in you, right? You want to create a unique person. So which means that part of your masculinity, right, part of who you have to grow into, means that you have to create an identity, right? You have to create your personality, right? Obviously your frame, your personality, okay, what else? And also things like charisma, all those things have to make up your, what I can say, your masculinity genetics, right? All that, right? Your personality, your charisma. These are the things that a lot of the times, as we grow, we're not accustomed to actually cultivating, right? And this is another reason that we do not have proper identity as men, right? Many of us, at least as we're growing up, because we're not taught how to be charismatic, how to interact properly as men, how to have a self identity, which will also improve basically our confidence and self-esteem, right? We're not taught these things, all right? Of course, we're not going to blame anyone for this, whether society, whether it's our fathers or whatever, which is usually the duty of the father to do this, right? We're not going to go there. We have YouTube, we have books, we have all these items that we can use to prepare us in whatever stage we're in life to actually be able to cultivate this, right? And of course, because these identities and all these charisma and all that, they take time to cultivate. So it means that you'll have to put in the work. And I've always for putting in the work when it comes to self-improvement, that is, and self-development, because you are developing. It does not happen overnight. Never will, never has. For anyone out there who is developing himself, right, to take years. It may take months for some, mostly it takes years, right? You may start now, but that thing starts, your identity or whatever, or the thing you're working on may start flourishing even after 10 years, 15 years. And part of masculinity is patience. There is no there is no real growth without patience. Hence, a lot of ancient philosophers had that saying that patience is a virtue, right? Something that is very important, right? But then, and in itself, it's an essence. It's in itself. It's also cultivated. So everything that you want also comes at the expense of patience, right? You need to be patient. So what I'm saying is that a lot of people want to grow up fast, right? They want to do a whole lot of things right now, things that they're not ready for, mostly things that they do not understand or do not take the time to properly process and understand things, so that they can know exactly what to do in each situation. There's some situation, obviously, that will need you to study, maybe, even if you have a degree and stuff. There's some situation that you will need experience in life, right? Just outside worldly experience, right? Like your smart, street smarts, right? Or just your own instincts, right? For instance, right? However, right, all these things usually you do not grasp them at that moment, or just grasp them at an earlier stage of your life. Some things, because some things come eventually, right? Gradually. This is why wisdom usually comes later in life, because you start associating things, and then obviously, like Steve Jobs would say, that you start connecting the dots. This comes later on, so you have to be patient, right? Of course, at the meantime, what do? You have to know exactly what you want from life, who you want to be. Identify yourself. You need to know what identity you want to take on in this life. And this is because for a lot of us, we don't have that history, our family history. We don't follow up on our family histories, our family tree, like our ancestor tree, so we can at least have a guidance. We don't have those records. So for some of us, we're not even born knowing our own fathers, our own parents, for that matter. Some of us we don't even have any connection to our grandparents, right? I mean that we never really got to know them. They died probably when we were young or before we could meet them. So once this situation happens, because our parents, right, especially father, our paternal parents, right, grandfather, great-grandfathers, our fathers, they usually have wisdoms, right? They have the wisdom to pass on to us. But unfortunately, due to so many circumstances happening in life, usually we're not able to do these things, these rituals that we usually had back in the days, right? So that shouldn't deter us from creating our own rituals, our own identity, our own our own essence, right? Basically, our own characters and charisma. And this comes from knowing, first of all, that you're a man, right? Once you identify yourself as a man, right, then you have the power called masculinity. Masculinity, as I usually say, is a superpower for men. Why? Because it's the essence. It is what usually will connect us to the greater power, the supreme, whoever you call it, whether it's Allah, you call it Jehovah, God, the universe, whatever. I personally call him the supreme. So that's our connection, right, as men. And that is the thing that will actually help us grow, knowing that we have those powers as a masculine man. Now, as per usual, I'm going to go cliche in here and power comes great responsibility, right? With great power comes great responsibility, right? Shout out to Spider-Man's uncle. So once you have you cultivate, or you're in your journey, right, to cultivate that power, the masculine power, you know that you have to know exactly what you are creating. Because at the end of the day, you don't want to create a monster. People get disappointed. That's why we have men who become bitter, because they never really took the time to understand how they themselves affect the universe or affect the world, right? How our mindset would think about certain situation. So that's why I say it's a very, very hideous and long process. You may get angry at some things, right? Especially when it comes to truth. Many men are emotional about a lot of things, whether it's religion, whether it's women themselves, whether it's ourselves. We tend to have some sort of self-hate, we have jealousy or whatever, right? It's really not the problem, right? If you know that you identify that, and then you know that you have to work on that. So once you're working on these things, you're going deep inside, and you are working on deeper level. You're not just working on your superficial stuff. Once you identify this, right, the things that are wrong, the things that are wrong in the world that you find that okay, they're not okay, and the things that are wrong within you, you accept them, and then you start cultivating things that will help you develop into someone that can accept and develop and change into that personality or identity that you think would actually be able to take over, right, and pursue your purpose. Remember, another part, a very important part of a masculine man is that he has a purpose. You're not going anywhere, my friend, without a purpose. And it doesn't matter what it is. It might even just be drawing. It might be, there's no such thing as a useless purpose as long as it's serving, and it's also serving you, or basically also serving your society, right? It doesn't matter. It's just that that has never changed throughout history. However, the only thing that maybe have changed is that once we start pursuing our purpose, usually in the midst of that, we also need finances. So we may have to kind of balance things out, like create a purpose, or have a purpose, right, that will also be able to sustain us, right, which means that we also have to create something that will bring in some proper finances to sustain our world, that we're creating. So that's one thing, right, because back in the days, people who usually had a purpose, right, they had patrons that would actually support them. But for now, that does not work for everyone. Some people obviously they have the finances. Some you have a job, and then you're also financing your own project and all that. Whatever you're gonna do, right? But have a purpose that serves you, serves society, and you know that you can grow from that purpose. That's another topic for another day. But for now, I've been talking about masculinity, but at the same time, having a purpose. But cultivated masculinity have those things like character. Character is something that you create, but it will take time, because you want that character that will overlap into your matured years, right? If you're in your 20s, you're in your 30s, right? You may be communicating a certain way, but you want to go into your 50s, maybe in your 60s, if the Supreme does bless you. You don't want to have the same talking point. You don't want to talk the same way as you're talking to your buddies, right? Because you never know who you may meet. You never know if you're going to start a business, you never know who you're going to be talking to in business meetings or business situations. So you may have to filter out some language, some of your language, right? So these are the things that you're supposed to be working on. In the meantime, as you work around your hobbies, you work around your character and even your business. So you can see that it's a holistic thing. It's not just one thing. So don't make the mistake of, especially these days, only make the mistake of that we have to be making money, which is great. I also love making money, creating businesses. That's the ultimate goal, right? But also remember, money is a means to an end, right? It's a means to end, but then in between that, there are the stuff that you have to also be working on, right? Now, I'm not saying that you should have a whole lot of project that stuff may overwhelm you. Start by identifying the things that you know you need to work on. The way you speak, your body language, health-wise, right? What kind of body frame, or your physique do you want to create, right? You can gain a whole lot of inspiration from the internet, from YouTube. There's a whole lot of information on that, right? Things like your health, like I said, what type of dwellings you may like to live in. All those things are part of the journey. So it starts with very basic stuff, right? Make sure you're doing the basics, like I usually say. Work through the things, have priorities, so you know exactly what you're working on each and every time, or each and every stage of your life. And that way you're able to create that identity, your own identity. And remember, when you're creating your identity, you're only gaining inspiration from people around you that you think that they inspire you. You do not copy. You do not try and emulate exactly what they're doing. Otherwise, you'll be a carbon copy. Remember, each and one of us have a fingerprint, right? It's unique just as much as your identity, your masculinity, your essence should be unique, right? Should not be a carbon copy of anyone. You may get an inspiration, you may be inspiration, right? Like J. Cole was inspired by Nas, right? If you're a hip-hop head, right? So a hip-hop head in the beginning of their career usually sound like someone else, right? However, as he progresses, he slowly begins to have his own style, right? Like I said, like someone like J. Cole probably start like rapping a bit like Nas, and then afterwards will actually rap totally different, right? That's how it's supposed to be. Having someone inspires you, but as you go on, you create your own style, your own identity. And yeah, I'm gonna stop there. This has been Alfred. Till next time, peace.